money on my mind, 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 money on my mind. So money is all I think of. Money on my mind, money on my mind, money on my mind, money on my mind.
All right, you guys, money is always on my mind. I wouldn't be the money man, as they call me, if it wasn't on my mind. But either way, you guys know where you tuned in. But if you just need a reminder, this is your boy Darrin Harvey, aka Bookity Blondie himself, and this is Financial State of Mind. It's a show where I help you get to that bag, manage that bag, and grow your bag as best as possible by preaching, teaching, educating my beautiful listeners on financial and business literacy. You're tapped into KGPC 96.9 FM on this beautiful Monday morning. If you're listening to this on the website, kgpc96.9.org. Oh, sorry, no point. KGPC969.org. You might be listening to this on Spotify right now. You might be listening to this on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or your favorite streaming platform of choice. Either way, or however you're listening to it, thank you guys for listening. Today, I believe it's episode 35. We have a very special episode. We're going to do something quite different than any other episode I've ever done. We're going to have an actual live kind of conversation, and then you guys get to have an idea of how I kind of coach, consult live, for lack of better words. And today, I'm not doing this by myself because I don't feel like talking to myself. I got my boy Tate Williams in the building. Tate,
Yeah.
how are you feeling today, sir?
You know, I'm feeling better.
I'm glad you're feeling better, Tate.
Yeah.
You know, this is a very, for the guests, this is the most improv episode I've ever done. When I say improv, I asked, this episode was literally created, the structure was created about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you being able to join me. I appreciate you being open to doing this episode.
Love it.
But yeah, I felt it was important for the viewers to get an idea of really typical questions I ask as a consultant, as a coach. But even just if you just know me, these are the things I do to try to help people with their finances, with their business ideas, whatever, and stuff like that. And these are discussions we've had already offline. So it's just, we're kind of extending it and kind of formatting it for a show right now. But before I pry into your finances and I pry into all your business ideas, Tate, tell the audience, who is Tate Williams?
Yeah, definitely. Who is Tate? I'd like to know. So I'm Tate. I'm 45. I just got here to Oakland almost a year ago. Came from Monterey County area on the coast, taking care of my father in his last 3 days. So I've been waiting to come to Oakland like my entire adult life, and now I'm here. I have worked primarily in nonprofits. I was a single parent of 2 kids in Santa Cruz, and that is an expensive place to raise children, I'll tell you.
I believe it.
I got through school in my master's degree. I am in so much debt.
Where'd you get your master's in?
Public policy. I have a master's in public administration.
Dope. What school?
Portland State University.
Got you. So where are you originally from?
I'm from Monterey, so
Okay.
I'm just down the bay.
Okay.
Just a little bit. A completely different bay, that's
Yep.
for sure. Military town, straight and conservative as you can be. But yeah, it's a different breed of mentality out there for sure. I raised both kids in Santa Cruz. I came up here a few years ago after grad school. And that debt was not necessary. I'll tell you that right now. That debt was just not necessary. I don't make any more money.
Lord, unfortunately. Do you mind sharing how much debt that was, or ballparking it?
So with even a full ride scholarship for my undergrad, so I did my first 2 years at community college, which is a great thing to do. Did the next 2 years at UCSC, a full ride scholar there, Peaster scholar. And then I did my master's, and I have $100,000 in school debt.
Whew.
$100,000 in school debt.
Lord.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want to know how much I have.
That's just school debt.
Yeah.
I didn't mention raising kids in Santa Cruz, right?
Yeah, no. I'm just talking about you. You don't want to know. You don't. I tell people how much debt I have in school, and they look at me like, "This Darrin, shut up."
Right. I still struggle with understanding how I got that much with a full ride.
Well, because
right?
masters So
Masters are
I
expensive.
think I'm not sure if I've shared this story live. No, I didn't. So I have shared with my audience that and you know this, I didn't come from the world of finance and business. I have my bachelor's in sociology with a minor in psychology. I wanted to either be an LCSW or an MFT. And I did, right after graduating with BA, go into the initial process of applying for the master's degree. I graduated from Cal State East Bay 2012. So literally that next quarter, they were still in quarters back then, I tried to go for the master's. And then they said it was going to be, I believe they said it was going to be $15,000 a quarter or semester. And that was the cheapest. That was the cheapest in the entire state, I believe, for that particular program. And if you're an LCSW, it's actually 3 years.
Yeah.
So I just was like, along with other factors, I was just like, I can't do it. It doesn't make sense, because if you look at the money they make, either way, if you go LCSW route, the MFT route, and you become a private therapists back in 2012, 2013, they were only making about $100K private. Less if you go corporate and be hired within. So it just isn't worth it. And financially, I could say, if you know, obviously, if you have other means to do it and do what you love, of course, I'm not against that. But like you said, this $100,000, and this is so common. $100,000 is such a common number to be thrown out just for master's school. I have an attorney friend who has, I believe it's $150. Same thing, full ride on the undergrad, but then masters, and you know, we would consider that a professional doctor, lawyer, same thing. Yep. She has $150K in debt, and what I don't like is when you have that level of debt, it's kind of like, I'm just going to be in debt forever. Like, you just kind of just go, oh, there's this bill I will pay forever that I never will not pay.
Will never not pay, yeah.
The only way it goes away is when I pass away. Right. And that's why...
Yeah, because you can't claim bankruptcy. You can't
get that. Yep, I've said that on the show plenty of times. Bankruptcy, you cannot bankrupt your way out of student debt, which is the only debt. That is the only debt that you cannot bankrupt out of. You can bankrupt out of your house debt, your car debt, your credit card debt, medical bills, everything. But for some reason, educational debt can't be bankrupt out of us. So shout out to the lobbyists who made that happen.
Right.
I don't know how they did that.
Thank you, federal money.
I don't know how you did that. But
I have to say, I appreciate the fact that working nonprofit, there are programs that help you, and they're hard and complicated to get through, and most of us don't go through the whole process. There was some stuff about it in the news a couple of years ago too, going through the forgiveness if you're a public servant.
That is true.
So there are good programs like that, but again, complicated. When you already have a full busy life, with that extra layer, it just becomes this thing that you just kind of accept as, you know, the albatross around your neck for the rest of your life. And you know, as a single parent, it was always the first bill that got put to the side. I'll tell you that right now. It was always going to be there, so it was the first one to get skipped when it needed to be. So
absolutely. And I understand that there's so many, I think it's trillions now at this point. Student loan debt is in the trillions, so it's definitely an issue. But you know, speaking of debt, is there any other debts that you have just being out here in the Bay Area?
Yeah. Debt on my soul. No. You know, it's always been hand to mouth. I was a young single parent. My kids are 25 and 23 now. And they do a number on the pocket, but it's actually not as bad as I thought it would be. Because when there's a certain level, and I've talked about this with other people, where you're so poor, it doesn't even matter anymore. You're not really making it worse because you're poor. You don't have anything to spend, right? Right. The cost to get out of that is tremendous. And that's usually what causes the debt. And every time I've tried to get myself from below that line, that poverty line, get out and just get over that hump, it has cost me dearly, where I've backslid every time. And now I've accumulated a little bit of credit card debt. I got a car that needed to be returned, and my son crashed it. goodness, don't give your children cars. No. I gave him mine. He crashed it. It was a silly move to have done, but I still owe. And they took the car back. I still owe on the car, though, of course, right? What else have we got? I think that's really it. The credit in that sense of how much I owe I don't think it's really the biggest issue. I think it is the biggest issue is things like on-time payments, because guess what didn't get paid when the kids need to eat?
Right.
Like all that stuff got put to the side every single time because shoes and food were far more important and rent were always the priority. And I spent a lot of years doing that, robbing Peter to pay Paul, and I got no shame on that.
Right.
On that. So the credit history is, and it's really hard because it is very much a judgment of a character judgment. It's presented or taken as a character judgment, which it should not be, but it is. So what have we got? We've got student loan 100,000 and maybe I think 17,000, 20,000 in all things else.
Got it. Okay, so if you take away the student loan debt, you're definitely not the worst. Like, you're definitely not the worst. So one thing I've kind of told you about, and I've talked to the listeners about, is being broke and being poor, being in debt. It's almost like a mindset. Like it's like you have to have certain thought processes to kind of be in that zone. And what I teach in my coaching and my coaching particularly, not consulting. Consultings are just like one-offs. Coaching, when you're with me for a while, is the mindset of, one, how you got into debt, and two, how you can get yourself out. Because my crazy behind believes that anybody can get themselves out of debt. I do admit that the older you are, the harder it is, because ultimately time is your biggest asset. So when you have more time, you have more opportunity to get yourself out of debt. That's why it's like me, yes, I'm in a relationship, but I have no kids. I know that I'm kind of like a prime person to get myself out of debt because I have no dependents other than myself. My girlfriend does a great job of taking care of herself and her son financially. Yeah. But it's a mindset. And that's what I teach, is the mindset, because what's crazy is she makes more money than me, but I'm a homeowner. And that's just because, and I've told you this before, if you're in debt, that is because you spent more money than you make. It's really that simple. Now, the why behind it, what led you up to it, that's complex. But the simplicity is, if you're in debt, that means you are spending too much money. And now, if you're in the Bay Area, New York, most metros, the thing is that it's really hard to make enough money with one job just to pay your bills. It's really hard. And now, if you're in rural Texas, you're somewhere in Wyoming, that may be a different story. But when rent over here costs literally $1,000 for a room, $3,000 for a condo and or a 1-2 bedroom apartment, and $4,000 for a house, that is probably going to be over half of somebody's income, if not the vast majority of their income.
If you work for a nonprofit, it's all your income.
Right. So that's why I've kind of told you, and I'll say, I want to share this with the listeners, and I've told people, I'm not against people doing what they love to do for work. But what I find myself is, a lot of people who do what they love to do, and solely what they love to do, they're struggling to pay their bills. And that's why I've always taught people, hey, you can do what you love to do, but make sure that home is straight. Like, make sure that the lights are on, and here's the key, you're not worried about it. And that's the big thing I say is, you're not worried. Okay, say you work, I don't know, you found a way to work sales. Like, I'm in sales. For listeners, my job is, I'm in sales, not only through my business, but my day job. Yes, listeners, I do have a day job, by the way. Now I do. And it's sales. I tell people who don't have degrees or are trying to re-enter markets, sales, construction, security, Those are your 3. In finance, to a lesser extent, those are your 3 or 4. If you want to switch careers and make good money without a degree or a degree in a relevant area, do one of those 3. Sales is my preferred because that's the one you can stay at home. You can literally stay at home. You can literally stay at home, be on a computer, have a laptop, and you sell. And if you can sell, you can make a lot of money. And then you can, and it's not the funnest thing to do. I know sales is it's definitely not for everybody, but the goal is to stabilize your finances. So yes, maybe for 8 hours a day you're selling a product you can care less about, but then for the next 4 hours a day you can work on your own thing that you love, which can be policy, which can be working for nonprofits, which can be being a consultant, which can be a YouTube content creator, which can be a home interior designer. Whatever you love to do, you can do it because you're not worried about, oh God, is the light's going to stay on? Do I have enough money on the table? Or do the kids need new clothes? Whatever. And I know it's not the easiest option, but I feel that it's the most fulfilling option. And that's something I've definitely talked to you about. We've gotten together and we've talked about, okay, here's, you want to start your own business. You do want to start your own business. Okay. What business do you want to start for the audience since they don't know?
Yeah, so I am starting a mobile HR business, mainly through the idea of the van conversions, so converting a van into an office and doing the oversight without the overhead, especially since COVID, everything is so remote, but companies are really still paying a lot of money for space for an HR department. And what I see in a lot of places is that there is no HR department,
right?
And there is no policy, and there aren't any manuals, and all the things that are necessary to keep the business and the business owner and the employees safe are severely lacking. And so I want to come in and build that up while doing a weekly space to do the personal stuff of an office without taking it, right, the personnel stuff without the personal, and get that out of the office space because that can run a small office too. So I'm thinking it's stackable, it's franchisable, it's easy to put together. I've got an app that I want to bring into it, and I'm all over the place with it a little bit, and you know that. I'm like, and then I've got a second branch I'm starting because I got some gig work I've got going. So I'm like, how do I wrap that in? I'm a big picture person. I have a hard time focusing on the details.
Right.
And I'd like to add too to that mindset piece, which is I'm realizing is very hard to let go of, is that mindset of trauma. Right.
Yes.
The mindset of trauma around money is. That I'm not struggling to let go of these pieces is incredibly difficult to do, and I appreciate, because we have talked about it a lot, and bringing it up front and just kind of having it in the forefront of my brain, going, how am I? Is this a fear reaction?
Yeah.
Did I need that? No, I just bought that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No. It's
scarcity, right? Will make you do a whole bunch of stuff. So that's a big piece, and part of the reason I started wanted to start this job was out of fear of not having enough, right? of not being able to work and live and be comfortable, and nothing is sustainable if it's done out of fear. I know that. So mindset is a huge piece of this.
Absolutely. Mindset is, like, I tell people all the time, you're really paying me for mindset in the way I deliver it, because I tell people all the time, no shame, 80% of what I teach can be found on YouTube. Absolutely. But you need somebody sometimes to hold you accountable, someone you can talk to, but more importantly, someone who can make it click for you. And that's what I bring joy in, is making people understand and making it click for you as an individual. One thing that it took me a while to understand is that there is an emotion to money. There's absolutely an emotion to money, and it's completely different, and it starts literally from when you're a kid, and you're taught as a kid through different factors your relationship with money. There is a relationship with money. And actually, I know you're listening to the podcast, I actually did a whole episode where I interviewed 2 people and asked them questions about their relationship with money, and it comes from their childhood. And like, I will share again with my audience, money was plentiful in my upbringing. I never, ever worried about money as a kid. Ever. It never happened. Zero. Never, ever happened. I got what I want all the time. All the time. If I didn't get what I want, it's because my parents said, no, you can't have it. Not because we couldn't afford it. And generally speaking, if I waited long enough and was patient and did what I was supposed to do, which is usually like chores, school, behavior stuff, I got whatever the heck I wanted for Christmas. Like, I have memories of my mom going, hey, cutting out from the newspapers, cutting out with the Toys R Us, the toy book catalog for Christmas, like doing all that stuff, putting it on paper, and then literally, I'll never forget, my mom, number one item, number two, number three, 100% of the time showed up under the Christmas tree. That's the way I was brought up. So money was just there. There was no scarcity about it. So because my money was stable, I in turn became stable. Like, I in turn become stable. Now, yes, people, there's emotional and mental and everything else components that I'm leaving behind. I'm not ignoring it, but financial is a pillar of health. If your financial health is never stable as a kid, then you're not going to be stable with finances as an adult. It's just the same thing, right? If your mom came in and beat the crap out of you for the littlest things, then when you grow up and start dating, you're going to think that the person who says I love you is going to beat the crap out of you because that's all you learn. It's the same concept. It really isn't that big of a difference. So what I had to learn as an advisor is I had to teach people how to stabilize the concept of money emotionally, because that's part of the reason why they're all over the place. Is if money is inconsistent, then you're going to be inconsistent with money. So we teach them, how do we make money consistent? And the first thing is, it is so much easier to be consistent with money when you're making enough money. It's so easy. And what I also tell people is, here's the thing. If you're working 2-3 jobs, if you're working 3 jobs, by the way, it doesn't matter the amount of hours. You can be doing 10, 10, 10. But if you're working 3 different jobs, let's just say it's 20 hours a piece, you will not have time to spend all that money. It becomes a lot more different. If you're over here door dashing, and then that's 30 hours a week, and then on the side you're working on your business for 20 hours a week, on the other side you're over here helping people out for 20 hours a week, you will be too tired to be spending all the money you're making. I've been there as somebody who has a full-time job and part-time business and a rental property. It's starting to become a little too difficult to spend all the money because I physically don't have the time to spend the money. So that's why I tell people, work 2-3 jobs, literally put your head down, work as much as your body can take. Body, you do need rest. I'm not saying don't rest. I'm not saying don't have chill days, relaxing days, but work hard and make some sacrifices for like even 1 year. If you were to do that for 1 year, you got 2-3 jobs and just worked, you could knock out all of your consumer debt. So the consumer debt is your car and your credit card.
The 20,000.
You would knock that out in 1 year.
Yeah.
If you would knock that out. But that's difficult because I know your mindset is, oh crap, I got all this money coming in. Now I want shoes. Now I want clothes. Now I want this nice thing because I can afford it now. Yeah. But that,
or I'm paying off the wrong things in the wrong order.
Right.
That's a big one. That
right.
I do a lot of. I'm like, oh, I'll just pay this thing off, and then a lot of these things that we talk about are not inherently intuitive.
Right.
For some of us.
Because it has to be taught.
Yeah.
It has to be taught.
I come from a family. My father, we call it the seaside hustle for a reason. He's self-employed. Mainly because he just didn't want to work for he couldn't work for anybody else. He had to be self-employed. I never saw that man handle money in a responsible way. Whereas my stepsister, her mother is extremely responsible with money. My sister's a homeowner and been in her home for 30, 40 years now, however old we are. Kids and college funds. And I still, to this day, don't know how any of that works. And it is very like, this is just kind of, I don't have an attachment to money. I don't think I've ever asked a job how much they're going to pay me.
Wow.
Because I always do what I love. That's more
Right.
And my dad was
Right.
like that. I just do what I love. I do what I'm good at. I do what I love.
And then there's people who literally negotiate every time. Like my best friend, they'll be like, literally, my best friend will be like, "Oh, we'll give you a job for $200,000. I want 215 deep."
Oh.
Like, oh crap! Like I just made 215 by just negotiating.
And that's just beyond me. And I think that has to do a lot with the worth piece, right?
Right. That is so important. And this, again, all starts at childhood. Like, I'll share you one of my examples. My father taught me this. God bless his soul. If you work hard, be patient, and pay your bills on time, you can have whatever you want. Now, I want to make this clear. I've said this a couple of times on my show. I want to make this clear. My father did not teach me about credit. He did not teach me how to leverage credit so you can fly around the world for free. My father did not teach me about business credit. My father did not teach me about financial planning. My father taught me if you work hard, pay your bills on time, and stay patient, you can get whatever you want. He taught me mindset. He didn't teach me the actual strategy. But because I got taught the mindset and the patience, and I had the example, I had role models to show me this, by the way. It just was normal. That's just how I saw it work. And the great thing is my parents did an excellent job of reinforcing it. You do your chores, you get good grades, behave, you get whatever you want for Christmas. And I knew that because it always happened. And I felt, and the thing about work and money is that for the most part, it's pretty consistent. If you work hard at the right places, you will get your paycheck. It just works that way.
Right.
You have to be a little bit patient for your paycheck. It's not like you're getting paid day by day, but if you work for 2 weeks or a month, you will get that money in your paycheck. That's what we learn, and we learn that everywhere, from school to being a kid, and then eventually at a job. It works that way.
Right.
So, but what I learned is that there's people like you where it didn't work that way for them. So it's about, do whatever you like, and it's about, hey, if you just go to college, get a degree, you're gonna have a job that pays you enough to buy a house, and then retirement, stuff like that. The reason why we're being told about this stuff by our parents is because it worked. That's how it worked for them. And what happened is pretty much the '08 recession just completely shot that down. It was already on that pathway to begin with, but the '08 recession just shot it down. And we realized that wasn't the case no more. You couldn't get any degree you want and make enough money to buy a house. It didn't work like that. People couldn't even get jobs and they had degrees, let alone enough money within that job. And what I find amazing sometimes is we are still passing down that ideology even though it doesn't work anymore. Thankfully, it's really slowing down. People are starting to understand that, but that took a while. And anyone who's basically Gen X, millennials like me, we got taught that even when it wasn't working no more. And
that college isn't necessarily the next best have to do thing to have a good and
it's not
life.
I tell this to people, it's really simple. In 2023, it's really simple. You got to get a STEM degree, which is science, technology, engineering, or math. A STEM degree, get a professional degree, so that means you're going into law school, you're becoming a doctor, you're becoming a dentist, a chiropractor, or learn a trade, like a plumber, a handyman, something with your hands, stuff like that. That's the level, that's the higher education you need. If you don't go to that, it is not worth going to school. Just because here's the thing I tell you, and before I tell you guys, I just want to remind you guys, you're listening to your boy, Darrin Harvey, boogity bonding himself. This is Financial State of Minds. You're tapped into 96.9 FM. You might be listening to it on the website, kgpc96.9.org. And I'm here with Tate Williams. We're just having the talks we always have, but it's important that you guys kind of hear how I talk to people when it's a consultation, because he's a friend and client of mine. So this is kind of a sneak peek to what kind of happens in my sessions, especially the mindset and the coaching sessions that I have. I've said this before and I'll say it again. The 3 people I know who make the most money, none of them have degrees. None of them do. I have my best friend who makes over $200K in one job. That's not including his side business. I have another friend who's a mother of multiple kids. She makes nearly $200K. Her husband makes nearly $200K, sales and construction. And I have a single mom in Texas. That's my girl out there. She makes over $200K in Texas. Sales is her role. My best friend does IT. I can make a projected of almost well over into the 6 figures. I'm in sales. I have my own business, and I can keep going. But most of the people that I know who make good money, like the top echelons, they don't even have degrees. Now, I do have a lot of my friends. Shout out to all my friends who do have degrees. I have a good friend who works at Google. He makes 130. I have another good friend who works at Stanford. He makes 120. So I'm not saying degrees don't get you paid, but guess what? They're both engineers. One of them is in Google Tech. You have to be, the truth is that we just can't get any degree we want and expect a livable wage in California. I wish it was like that. I love what people like you do, but it's just, this is too common where I'm seeing like, hey, I'm doing what I love and I'm struggling to pay rent. Right.
And the need for this work is growing. Exponentially, it's growing. We need the social worker aspect of it, but it is always, I'm hearing the term non-competitive nonprofits now.
Yep.
And that scares me more than anything. And my first degree is actually in land management and cattle management, and I spent a few years doing that in mosquito research. But that paid a lot more than this paid. But, you fall in love with something and you get passionate and you go with it, and hopefully they'll come to where the pay is a little bit more even. But until that time, like just getting the permission from you to say, oh, I could volunteer. It was the strangest thing, like as a volunteer coordinator, to go, oh, why am I working at my volunteer instead of volunteering and getting a job and volunteering on the weekends? Why is this the full-time gig for me?
Yeah, like I tell people all the time, if you have a real estate empire and that real estate empire is paying you $5,000 a month in rent, and you live in a home or a property, it can even be a room. You don't even have to own the property you live in. Like, but you can just be in a room or an apartment or whatever, and whatever. Or you have a house that's paid off. That's what I would prefer. Small house that's paid off, and you say you own 10 pieces of property, and that earns you $6,000. Let's go with $6,000. $6,000 when you own everything, when you own your car, when you own your house, and you have no debt. $6,000 is plenty of money. It is plenty of money. Guess what? You can volunteer wherever you want, how often you want, if you're making $6,000 passively. That's just the truth. And trust me, there's people doing that. There's people doing that where they are literally just doing whatever they want, and they're making $6,000 just through rental incomes, or maybe they're making $6,000 through dividend incomes and stuff like that. But they had to work. Probably jobs they didn't particularly care for about 10, 20, 30 years. And then you end up in that space where you can just kind of do whatever you want. One thing I kind of learned is that you will have to work. You will have to work 30 years, 40 years, pretty much no matter what. Now, it could be 20 years, but you were working 16-hour days every day for 20 years. Or you can work 8 hours and do that for 50 years. Like, it's just up to you what you choose. I just realized that and went, okay, I have to work 12 hours a day every day. And if I do that in the correct way for 15 years, I'll have enough money to retire early. So that's kind of what I figured out. But I, again, understand that there's a mindset component to all of this. So the first thing is, we kind of just talked about it earlier, the mindset of money. Don't be so emotional with it. You are in control when it comes to money. I think what I teach people is to understand what they control and what they do not control. You can control how you spend your money. there is some level of control. There is actually total control in everything. You don't have to live in a 3-bedroom house, people, and rent it out to yourself. You can live in a bedroom. The bedroom will cost you $800. The house will cost you $3,000. You can pick. You don't have to own a car in California. You can Uber everywhere you need to go.
Electric bike.
Or you can bike wherever you need to go, and you can get a job that's remote, or you can create your own business that's remote. Or both. So you don't ever have to leave the house. So you don't even have a car bill. You don't always have to be going out every single Friday, turning up in the bar, turning up in the club. You don't have to be going out
DoorDash.
and buying or door dashing, right? You can just cook at home. You don't have to be going out all the time to buy the new Nike drop, the new Jordan drops, or just some clothes or whatever. You don't have to be buying the brand new video games. You can get your video game fix discounted. Patience, what I learned is patience actually means you pay less. You always pay more to get it. We call it the early access. You pay more to have early access. You never pay more if you get the same service or product later.
I have a saying, again, mindset, right? My mindset is always, I work really hard to make that money. I pay for the convenience. And my life is about the hedonistic kind of in the moment. I want everything right here and right now, instant gratification. Tomorrow's not promised, right? Again, all the mindsets that go into,
right.
And I'm somebody who'll tell you, I don't feel like I have any control over my money. Like I feel like it's completely uncontrollable, and it's because there's no stopgaps involved here. But it does feel like it's just beyond my ability. So why bother? The debt will always be there. So why bother?
Right. And that's why I encourage people. You can get out of debt. There are so many stories of people paying hundreds of thousands of dollars off in just like 2-3 years. Again, and I want to make it clear: if you have $100K in debt, you ain't paying that off in 1 year. If you have $100K in debt, you're not paying that off in 2 years. It may take 3, it may take 5, but it's possible. So first, it starts with just telling yourself, or me telling you, you can pay your debt off. You can. Right. You can make that 120+ K debt be 0, and we can do it in maybe 5-6 years. It is 5-6 years, and that's a long time. I'm not going to say that's not a long time, but it's not forever.
Not well until after retirement.
Right. It's not your whole life.
Yeah.
And so that's just an important switch. Once you switch that, then you're more open to the ideas of what it takes to pay off that debt.
Yeah, because now I kind of believe that maybe it is possible.
Right.
Where I'm like, why bother? Again, why bother? Like, I even went through debt consolidation. That thing made it worse. So why? My credit score just keeps dropping. And that's back to what we talked about in the beginning about being connected. So your listeners know how you connect with other people. Like, I connect with you because I believe you. Right? I believe what you're telling me. We have a way of communicating that is I trust you. So when you say you can do this thing, I go, okay, maybe I can.
And
right?
And the thing is that the reason I think I'm believable is because I can create a strategy and a plan, and the concept of it is really quick. Like, I don't have to detail it out. I can give you the details, but this is why you can pay off your debt in 5-6 years.
It's realistic.
Right. You literally, like, people, for the listener right now who has $150K in debt, you can barely pay mortgage, you can barely pay rent, you barely getting by. How do I, Darrin, get out of debt 5-6 years and have $150K? Let me tell you, person, really simple. 1, your job is not paying you enough money. If it is, you're spending too much. But your job, I'm going to make an assumption, is not paying you enough money. So get a job that pays you more. Not enough, more. Again, sales, along with construction, security, finance, some other industries. Sales, there are sales jobs where you get 50K base to 70K base before the bonuses. Healthcare included. You work your behind in sales. After you're doing that job, you do if you have a car, do some door dashing, do some Ubering for 4 hours, 6 hours, whatever. You're going to have to maybe work 12, 14-hour days. Okay, Darrin, I can't drive, I don't have a car. Cool. Do some gig work. Open up your laptop, Darren, I don't have a laptop. Open up your cell phone and
I do all my work on my cell phone.
And literally, there are websites where there are people like me. There are small business owners who, hey, I can't afford an employee, but I can't afford to pay you for this one project. It's called project-based work.
Freelance gig.
And I will pay you $500 to knock this project or this one task out, and I need it done in 10 hours. Okay, that's 50 hours. That's $50 an hour right there. So you do that. You have two streams of income now, so you're not dependent on one or the other. So if one goes away or one slows up, it's okay. It's not like everything just stopped at one time. And you just calculate. You just do the numbers. Okay, all of a sudden, I switch jobs, and all of a sudden, yes, I'm working 14 hours a day, but now I'm bringing in $100K. Now I'm bringing in $150K. Okay, now that sales job, let me tell you how sales work. You crush it in sales, they give you bonuses, and you get promoted. And or you bounce to a different company in 2 years. So you get promoted in the first year, go bounce to another company. Now you're a senior sales rep. Now they're going to pay you $100K base, and the bonuses are going to end up giving you $70K. So now just between that one job hop, because you got the title and you crushed it, you went from making $70K, maybe $90K at that first job. Now you're making $170K. You're still Ubering. You're still doing the gig work. Now you're making $200K. With $200K and your spend is the same, maybe if you're in a house, see if you can downgrade to a condo. If you're in a condo, see if you can downgrade into a room.
What do you do to those children?
I admit, when it's children, much more difficult.
Right.
Especially if they're small children. If they're small children, you guys, I'm not going to be shy about it.
Childcare costs a lot.
It is extremely difficult. It is extremely difficult. If they're babies, small kids, I would say basically under 10, it's going to be really difficult. You're really going to have to do a lot of, I hate to say this, but you might have to run some sleepless nights. Because your time, because your time is so limited.
Well, the system is really set up to, especially if you're a single parent, it's so expensive to have children, small children, childcare age children. It is almost counterintuitive to go to work.
Yes, and this is, it's hard, you guys. I'm not going to sit here and say when you have kids,
but there's hope.
But maybe, and I don't prefer to say this, but I might in some cases. If you're single, you have kids or a kid small, and you have no support system, you might have to stay in debt for like 5-10 years.
And that's okay.
That's okay. Because in year 10, when that kid can stay on his own, be by himself, you do this plan. You do this plan.
Right.
And that is the reality, I will admit, when it comes to, and that's why I said earlier, this is so much easier if you're single. This is so much easier when you don't have a family, you don't have kids. Because yes, it's not practical to have 3 kids in one bedroom. I understand that.
Right.
It's not practical. But what I find is that, and this is what I'll tell people with the families, with the kids, single, whatever, whatnot. What I truly believe is this. If you're willing to work hard, you have a plan, and you can convince some people, you have that determination in your voice and your eyes, someone's going to be there to help. Someone's going to be there to help. Right. It may not be the way you want the help. It may not look like it, but someone's going to be there to help. Someone's going to be there to give you a break. Someone's going to be there to give you an opportunity. That's what I tend to see happen. Because that's actually the story of my girlfriend.
Yeah.
She got into Stanford making, I believe, $40K. And she had her son, who was barely 3, and she put her head down and worked and sacrificed and basically had no life until her son was old enough. So, and that's how and then when her son was old enough, then she can work even more, and that more got her out of debt, or working her way out of debt. So this unfortunately, you may, yeah, you're right, and I'm not going to shy away with it. If you're in that situation, and you have, and this is what I tend to find though is that people do have support. You just have to, most people don't just offer their hands out. You have to ask, and as somebody who has offered monetary support, I say you're more likely to get a lot more of a yes from me if I see you working.
Right.
If I will watch if you're saying, hey Darrin, hey whatever, I want to work the second job, but I just need you to watch my baby or my 5-year-old for 1 hour. I just need 1 hour. I'm more likely to say yes to that than if you say, hey Darrin, I need you to watch my kid for 1 hour because I want to go to the bar. And that's how most people work. That's just how most people work.
Yeah, it's an investment in money. They want to know that they're getting their return. Right?
And even if it's just time, like it's just it's okay. What I'm giving you my time. What are you gonna do with the time I'm giving you? You're gonna go work. Most people they don't say anything about that.
Right. California's big on this stuff. I have to say if I had thought about mindset earlier, because I realized really early I was gonna put on debt with 2 kids, and that was just gonna have to be what it was. And I swore when those kids left home, this would all be gone in a year, because it wasn't me, right? Like I was feeding them. This wasn't because I was doing it or chose it. So all this would be gone in a year. But what was left after they left was still all that mindset, right? It was the trauma, was the bad habits, was the reward system I had built in that goes, well, now I get to, right? And if I had started with the mindset shift a few years before they left, I would have been done in a year, right? Or 2. I'd be on a completely different track. And so it wasn't necessarily just the physical, because I make the same money, and I'm still broke, and those kids are nowhere around eating my food or whatever. So it's all me, and it's a good thing I've gotten to see that. But if I had met like the mindset idea a few years ago, so even if there's nothing you can do about putting on the debt now, you could always work on the internal stuff, right?
And again, that's where you can. It's harder now, but you can find therapy. You can find people, coaches, life coaches, whatever they want to call them. But it's people to help you internally. You can always do some growth. You always can grow yourself in the 5 pillars of health: financial, mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical. You can always find some support. You may have to look. Again, you may have to make concessions, but you can always find some help. And stuff nowadays in 2023, it's easier than ever because you don't even have to move. You can literally get your workout plan on the internet. You can get your life coaching on the internet. You can get your daily motivational speech on the internet. Heck, you can even get your plans on the internet. There are people who literally just do flat out live coaching sessions, and you can just watch people and figure it out. So a lot of this stuff that I'm saying is not even costly. It just requires time. And a lot of people, and sometimes people don't feel like they have a lot of time, but this is my general rule. If you have money, you don't have time. If you have time, you don't have money. Oh, and I keep going. If you have money and time, you've done your job. You made it. You're successful. You're rich. You're wealthy. And you're retired. And if you don't have time nor money, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Or you had or to be more sensitive, you had a really crappy hand dealt with you. And so it's we all fall into those 4. But we're actually getting towards the end. We got about 5-7 minutes left. So I kind of want to leave with you and the audience like, okay, Darrin, you talked a lot about mindset. You talked a lot of theory. Darrin, what are some practical things we can do right now? What are some things we can do? Darrin, we're broke. We don't have any extra money. We're cut. What do we do? Okay. Listeners, this is what I want you guys to do. When you have an hour of your day, DM me at Financial State of Minds, and I will charge you a lot of money to do what I'm about to tell you. No, this way. Shameless plug. But seriously. Okay. So you have an hour.
Send me the money.
So I can help you, but I do cost. If you don't have the money, cool. Consume my content. Consume the concept of other people. Learn what I know. It's not rocket science. And here's the thing you do. Once you learn it, you execute. All right, Darrin, what are we learning? What are we executing? Sure. Rule number 1. Make your budget. So how do you make a budget? First, you need to know how much money is coming in, as in how much money are you making, and how much money is coming out. How much money are you spending? In business, it's called a P&L, profit and loss. But in personal, I call it a income sheet. How much money is coming in, how much coming out. And you do that month to month basis. Darrin, I don't know any of that. I literally don't know nothing. If you have a bank account, even if you have a Venmo or a Zelle, it tells you all this. So you need to take some time out of your day, an hour or two, and you go through your bank statement. Everyone has a bank. Even if it's through a Cash App account, you have a bank. And it will tell you all this. And you have to go line by line and figure this out. And what I tell people to do is I put it on a Google Sheet. That's free. You don't have to pay. You don't have to pay for it. Put it on a Google Sheet, line by line, every single thing you spend your money on. First, look at the recurring bills. So that's your rent or mortgage. That is your utilities. That is your groceries. That is gas. That is car. That is insurance. These are all the things we all have to do. We all have to pay these bills. Then you have your wants. So what's your Netflix bill? What's your Hulu bill? What is your Microsoft Xbox Live bill? How much money are you spending when you go out to buy clothes? How much money are you spending when you're at a bar or when you're going out to eat? Write everything down. This is all going to be, unless you're taking out cash, this is all going to be on your bank statement. And you organize it. I have a whole episode where I teach this thoroughly. So look at my back catalog. Map out. So you have your map. You now know how much money you're making, how much you're spending. If you're listening to me and you need this advice, I'm almost promising you don't make enough money. If you don't make enough money, then you do the things I was just talking about earlier in the episode. Switch careers. Ask for a job promotion or ask about how to get one. Find ways to make more money. Gig economy. Uber. I've already talked about that. Find ways to make more money if time allows for it. If time does allow for it, then you generally have to switch career so you can make more money doing with the same amount of time. If you're working as a social worker making $20 an hour for 8 hours, you can literally make $40 an hour as a salesperson in the same 8 hours. So you're still making more money that way if time is an issue. 2, you make a budget. So you have the map of your money coming in and out and what is coming in and out. So first, you make a budget, and I should actually skip the step. That's number 3. Number 2 is cut down on the expenses that you don't need. So now you label things as need and wants. What's a need? Like I said earlier, insurance, car note, mortgage, rent, stuff like that. What's a want? Entertainment, like going out to eat, going to concerts, going to bars, restaurants, your Netflix bill, all that stuff, your daily Starbucks. That's all wants. You cut down or outright cut out as many wants as possible. For people who struggle with money emotionally and can't treat it logically, that's okay. Keep some wants. Literally cut down as many as you feel you can without going absolutely mentally crazy. Then make a budget. I can only spend this much money on Starbucks per month. I can only spend so much money out in the bar per month. That's that. And what you can figure out on paper is this gonna surplus you money, or is this gonna still keep you in a deficit? Meaning, are you still gonna be in the red, losing money, or are you gonna be in the green, making money? You do all of that, and the goal is to put you in the green. Now, if you're in the green, then you can move that money that's surplus. Say it's $100, even if it's just $100. You're paying off your debt with that extra $100. And in time, the theory is if you're focused and disciplined, that $100 should grow into $150 extra, $200 extra, $250, whatever that number is. And you just stay focused and keep doing it. And if you have a credit card, maybe it's one credit card that has $500, knock that out. Oh, cool. That credit card is free. Congratulations. Go ahead. Celebrate. Go out, have a nice dinner, whatever. Splurge a little bit. And then you just keep doing that philosophy until you knock out all your debts. And tell yourself that this will take time. You map it out. You literally can look at the numbers and go, oh crap, this is going to take me 3 years. All right, then it takes you 3 years. That's how long it takes. Because guys, let me tell you something. Whoever's a homeowner out there, understand this. You just don't wake up and go, I'm going to buy a house today. And I have the $200,000 down payment it requires to buy $1 million house in the Bay Area. It doesn't work that way. So even the people who have their finances straight, this is the same thing I'm telling them to do to buy a house. So you have to understand that getting out of debt and buying a house, you know what's equal about them? They both take years. Mm-hmm. They both take years. And what people need to understand is none of this stuff happens immediately. None of this happens on the short term. There is no way you buy a house in 1 year. It just doesn't work like that. Even if you have the money, it still takes 6 to 9 months plus just to find the house, just to fill out the paperwork, just to make sure everything's okay. Again, the point I'm trying to communicate is this takes time and it's okay, but you need to have the mindset that this is not going to be done in 6 months. It's not going to be done in 12 months. It may take 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. If you hear most people who get out of debt, I have very rarely heard stories of people who have major debt get out in even 1 year. It usually takes 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, whatever. Again, people, you are not bad. You did not do anything wrong. You didn't go, oh my God, you're a horrible person because you are in debt. Even if you did, who cares? The goal is to get you out. The goal is to stabilize yourself. The goal is to feel more confident and control over your own life. And ultimately, the goal is to free your time up so you can do what you truly are passionate about. That's why I teach financial literacy and business literacy. These are the immediate steps. And if you need that reinforcement, listen to me, listen to my clips. Of course, I'm plugging myself, but there's so many other people who are more motivating and are just like, hey, you can do this. And we all see him on social media. We all see him on YouTube. Heck, we even see some of this on Netflix and stuff like that. If you need that external motivation, that's okay. Most of us do. So just get your motivation in, work on yourself internally, and this is how you get yourself out of debt and into a situation where literally you're like, I'll just be frank, like me. I look at a tag, oh, it costs this much. All right, throw it in the basket. It's not about, oh, can I afford it or not? It's, this is what it costs. Okay, I know what it costs. Throw it in the basket. That's how me and my girlfriend work. This is what it costs. Cool. Throw it in the basket. I'm not saying I'm wealthy. I'm not saying I'm rich, but I can do that because I don't ever have to worry about if I can make enough money to pay my mortgage and rent. I don't ever have enough money to go, oh, do I need to have enough money to put food on the table or anything like that? It's less stressful, guys. And that's what I want everybody to enjoy. This is so much less stressful when you have that layer of financial security compared to just going month to month, paycheck to paycheck, moment to moment. So those are immediate things you guys can all do. Tate can do it too. Anybody can do it. Yes, it is challenging no matter what. It doesn't matter if you're man, woman, sexuality, black, white, race, whatever. Kids, no kids, Bay Area, Texas. Everyone has their own challenges. Nobody is going to have a ideal situation. But the thing is, you guys, you can do it. You can do it. Because if Blindy over here with half an eye can do all this stuff, you guys can do it too. It's really that simple. So I think we are out of time, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we are. We are over an hour, but I appreciate you stopping by.
Definitely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. It's a great conversation and extension.
Always.
But yeah, you guys, you've been tuned into Financial State of Mind. It's a show where I help you get to that bag, manage that bag, and grow that bag as best as possible by preaching, speaking, educating you guys on financial and business literacy. You've been tapped into KGPC 96.9 FM. You might be tapped in listening to on the website, kgpc969.org, or on your favorite streaming podcast platform of choice. Thank you guys again for listening. I hope you guys found this episode valuable, educational, and a little entertaining as always. This has been Darrin Harvey. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace, kings and queens. We're out of here.
Money on my mind, so money on my mind, money on my mind, money on my mind, money on my mind, so money on my mind, money on my mind, so money is all I think of. Money on my mind, money